From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aylia Batool. U.S. Islamic body Fatwa allows Zakat funds for political advocacy. This and more on today's show, so stay tuned. Divisions are widening within Jewish political circles after Florida Congressman Randy Fine compared Muslims unfavorably to dogs. He has been standing by his February 15th social media post, which has triggered criticism across party lines. But the sharper reaction has come from Jewish leaders who argue the language undercuts efforts to fight anti-Semitism and build broader coalitions against hate. The Jewish Democratic Council of America called the remarks a disgrace and urged Congress to consider censure. New York Congressman Dan Goldman said the rhetoric damages Jews working to counter bigotry of all kinds. Senate Democrats also demanded an apology. Fine has refused to back down. In an interview with Newsmax, he said he was responding to comments from a Free Palestine activist and insisted he was defending dog owners. His campaign remains endorsed by the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, a Washington-based lobbying group that advocates for strong U.S. political and financial support for Israel. House Speaker Mike Johnson has not announced any disciplinary steps for Fine, which observers say calls into question whether Congress will formally address the controversy. An anti-Islam preacher backed by the White House has been arrested in the UK after delivering a controversial street sermon in Bristol. Dia Moodley was detained in Broadmead city centre on a suspicion of a racially or religiously aggravated public order offence and assault by beating. Police said the arrest followed complaints linked to comments about Islam and transgender issues during his public preaching. Moodley was held for 8 hours and later released on bail. Conditions initially barred him from entering parts of Bristol city centre, but were later lifted. In an interview with The Telegraph, Moodley said free speech in Britain is in crisis and confirmed he had met a U.S. State Department delegation in London. His lawyers at ADF UK argue police are misusing public order laws to silence religious expression. Avon and Somerset police confirmed the arrest and said inquiries are ongoing. Moodley denies wrongdoing and says he was peacefully sharing his Christian views. A leading U.S. Islamic body has issued a new fatwa or religious scholarly opinion permitting limited use of Zakat funds for political advocacy. Zakat is one of the 5 pillars of Islam and a form of obligatory charity. The Fiqh Council of North America says Muslims in Western democracies may allocate a portion of their obligatory charity to support organized advocacy that serves the Muslim community. The ruling is based on the Quranic category of reconciling hearts, historically used to build alliances and protect vulnerable communities. The council argues that in a democratic system, policy engagement and civic participation can safeguard religious freedom and community rights. It says such spending must remain secondary to helping the poor and must comply with U.S. law. Established in 1986, it is chaired by Sheikh Yasser Khadi of Texas. He is among the influential imams in the West who for years have been linking Islam with social and political activism. Observers say the religious position reflects a broader trend of linking Islamic legal guidance with structured civic and political engagement. Democratic lawmakers have unveiled a new bill to block the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, from opening immigration detention centers without state and local approval. The proposal follows protests in states including New Hampshire, New York, and Maryland. In Merrimack, New Hampshire, about 1,500 people rallied against plans to convert a warehouse into a facility holding up to 1,000 detainees. Senators Maggie Hassan and Jean Shaheen introduced the Respect for Local Communities Act in the Senate. Representatives Chris Pappas and Maggie Goodlander filed a companion bill in the House. The legislation would require DHS to hold a public comment period and secure approval from state and local officials before opening new Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, facilities. ICE plans to expand the capacity to detain up to 10,000 people under President Donald Trump's mass deportation campaign. The administration has proposed spending $38.3 billion on new sites. Opposition has emerged from Democrats and some Republicans. Maryland's Attorney General has also sued to block a planned facility in Williamsport. The daughter of a detained Uyghur doctor will attend President Donald Trump's State of the Union address as a guest of House Speaker Mike Johnson. Johnson will host Ziba Murad at Tuesday's address. Her mother, Dr. Gulshan Abbas, has been detained in China since 2018. Family members say she was arrested days after her sister, activist Rushan Abbas, spoke out against China's treatment of Uyghur Muslims. Johnson says Abbas was forcibly detained in the Chinese-occupied East Turkestan Uyghur Autonomous Region. He says inviting Murad will help shine a light on China's human rights abuses. Murad's case has been raised by the House Select Committee on China. In October, several senior lawmakers urged Trump to press Chinese President Xi Jinping on Abbas's detention. Trump last met Xi in October in South Korea, with talks focused on trade. He is expected to visit China again from March 31st to April 2nd. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib has accused Israel of the killing of a 19-year-old Palestinian-American in the occupied West Bank. In a post on X, Tlaib said the Israeli government and settler gangs murdered another U.S. citizen. She urged Washington to stop funding genocide and apartheid. The victim, Nasrallah Abu Siam, was born in Philadelphia. He was shot and beaten last Wednesday in the village of Mukhmas. Witnesses say around 50 Israeli settlers entered the area to steal livestock. Abu Siam was reportedly shot while trying to protect a farmer's sheep. Residents say he was beaten after being wounded. He later died in a hospital in Ramallah. Violence has surged across the occupied West Bank since Israel launched its genocide in Gaza in October 2023. In July 2024, the International Court of Justice ruled Israel's occupation illegal and called for the removal of Israeli settlements. Is India following Israel's playbook in Kashmir? Details coming up after the break. Welcome back. As Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi begins a two-day visit to Israel on Wednesday, questions are growing over how closely New Delhi's policies in Kashmir resemble Israel's approach towards Palestine. Al Jazeera reports that India under Modi appears to be adopting Israel's security and administrative model, especially in Indian-occupied Kashmir. At a private event in November 2019, India's then Consul General in New York, Sandeep Chakravorty, was caught on camera suggesting New Delhi could adopt an Israeli model in Kashmir. His remarks came months after India altered the region's historic constitutional status. Israel is widely known for bulldozing and demolishing Palestinian homes in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem. In recent years, similar demolition drives have unfolded in parts of India, including Kashmir, often targeting Muslim properties after unrest. Experts say the pattern sends a political message about who belongs and who does not belong in India. Surveillance is another parallel. Israeli-made Pegasus spyware was reportedly used to monitor journalists and activists in India and Kashmir. Rights groups argue this reflects a security doctrine that treats dissent as a threat. India is also one of the largest buyers of Israeli weapons. Analysts say the growing alignment is not just strategic, but ideological, with Kashmir increasingly governed through a lens critics compare to Israel's control over Palestine. Palestinian officials say tensions are rising in Palestine's occupied West Bank after Israeli settlers set a mosque entrance on fire and sprayed racist graffiti on its walls. The attack happened in the village of Tel near Nablus. According to the Palestinian Ministry of Awqaf, settlers tried to torch the Abu Bakr al-Siddiq Mosque. Images show scorch marks at the entrance and hateful slogans painted across the walls. Officials condemned the incident as a dangerous escalation. Since the genocide in Gaza began in October 2023, violence in the West Bank has intensified. Palestinian sources say Israelis have killed more than 1,115 Palestinians. About 11,500 have been injured and nearly 22,000 have been arrested. Palestinians warn that continued raids, arrests, and settlement expansion threaten hopes for a future state. Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed more than 72,000 Palestinians and devastated much of the territory. Israel has banned 5 Palestinian media platforms over their coverage of events in the occupied East Jerusalem. The Israeli Defense Ministry orders targets Al-Asima News, Miraj Network, Al-Quds Al-Bawsala Network, Maidan Al-Quds, and Plus Quds Network. Israeli officials claim the outlets engage in incitement. Defense Minister Israel Katz designated them as terrorist organizations. Israel's Channel 12 reported the Attorney General approved the move. The platforms are accused of focusing coverage on East Jerusalem and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Following the ban, Al-Asima News announced it has been suspending operations. The other networks have not responded publicly. In a statement, Al-Asima called the decision an attempt to silence Jerusalem and suppress its story. Al-Aqsa Mosque is Islam's third holiest site. Palestinians see East Jerusalem as the capital of a future state. Israel considers the city its unified capital. A new global poll shows Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu facing deepening international disapproval. The Gallup International End of Year Survey 2025, conducted across 58 countries, finds 53 of them register net negative views of Netanyahu. Globally, just 19% express a favorable opinion. 61% hold an unfavorable view. That gives Netanyahu a net rating of -42. The numbers mark a sharp decline since 2019, when his net score stood at -20. Only 5 countries post net positive ratings: Azerbaijan, Kenya, India, Ukraine, and Georgia. The strongest negative views are recorded in Iran, Iraq, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Syria, and Norway. Western Europe shows particularly strong disapproval. Germany stands at -66, Spain at -61, Sweden at -71. In the United States, the net rating is -9. Among global leaders surveyed, Netanyahu ranks at -42, which is near the bottom, alongside Russian President Vladimir Putin, who is at -41. President Donald Trump is at -31, Chinese President Xi Jinping -23, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at -12. Sudan's military leader is offering amnesty to rival fighters if they lay down their arms. General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan says members of the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, will be forgiven if they surrender and rejoin the state. Burhan warned the army will continue its campaign unless the RSF gives up. He said the battle will go on to its end if the group refuses to surrender. At the same time, he appealed directly to individual fighters. He said those who were misled or incited into joining the RSF would not be treated as enemies if they disengage. Sudan has been at war since April 2023. The conflict has killed thousands and forced millions from their homes. The RSF controls most of the Darfur region. The army holds large areas elsewhere, including much of the capital, Khartoum. The fighting has triggered one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. In Colombia, a South American nation of 52 million people, Muslims are observing Ramadan in their own unique way. As the sun sets over the capital, Bogota, families gather to break their fast, including Sheikh Ahmed Tayel, who breaks his fast with ajioco santaferino instead of dates. The hearty soup is made with 3 types of local potatoes, shredded chicken, and corn on the cob, and creamy avocado. The Syrian-born cleric has spent more than 3 decades building Islam's presence in Colombia. Colombia is a largely Christian country. The Muslim community is small but growing, estimated at between 35,000 and 100,000 people. More than 40% are converts. Inside the mosque, the aroma of spiced rice blends with freshly brewed Colombian coffee. Prayers are followed by shared meals and conversation in Spanish and Arabic. Charity is a key focus, with food distributed to neighbors in need. Ramadan here also builds bridges as interfaith iftars bring together Catholic, Jewish, and evangelical leaders. A single nasal spray may one day protect against COVID-19, the flu, and pneumonia. Scientists at Stanford Medicine say they have developed an experimental universal vaccine. It does not target one specific virus. Instead, it boosts the lungs' overall immune defenses. The findings were published February 19th in the journal Science. In mouse studies, the spray protected against SARS-CoV-2, other coronaviruses, and bacteria linked to hospital infections. It also blocked reactions to common allergens like house dust mites. Researchers say the vaccine works differently from traditional shots. Most vaccines train the body to recognize a specific germ. This spray activates both the body's rapid response system and its long-term immune memory. Vaccinated mice showed mild symptoms and survived infections. Unvaccinated mice became severely ill. Human trials are expected to begin with Phase 1 safety study. If successful, scientists say 2 nasal doses could offer broad and lasting protection. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.